on the Nostalgia Critic. I remember it, so you don't have to. I don't know why we didn't have our usual intro, or why there's a lesser quality camera next to a high quality camera. Oh my god. Best Friends is the first big outing between cult stars Greg Sestero and Tommy Wiseau since their now classic disaster piece, The Room. Sestero wrote and produced this two-part true story, and when I say true, I mean you know how The Conjuring was technically true? This is the Annabelle creation of that. Sestero admitted that one of the reasons he wanted to make this movie was to show that his buddy Wiseau can actually turn in a legit performance. Okay, I'll set the legit bar to Shaq from Kazam, and even that I think is too high. Anytime these two are together, it's guaranteed to be weird, but isn't an entertaining kind of weird, a passionate kind of weird, and most importantly, a different kind of weird than what we've seen in The Room? Well, I guess it only figures to give this movie a fair shot. Let's take a look at best F parentheses R and parentheses iends. Oh, now I get it. The film starts off with an actually beautiful looking shot. Well, scrap that conspiracy theory. As we see Sestero waking up covered in blood, not remembering what happened. So how most actors wake up in LA. He plays a man named John, who seems to be a driftless wanderer begging for money on the street, and I'm just gonna say it, he is way too good looking to be your run-of-the-mill beggar. I mean, there's living on the street every day, and then there's Captain America Got a Little Dirty. You can practically see the cologne label under him. Oh my god, that is the hottest homeless man I've ever seen in my life! He comes across Wiseau driving a hearse and wearing platform shoes, because we'd be concerned if he didn't enter the movie like that. As he asks for help carrying a coffin into Pee Wee Herman's funeral parlor.
Not too close, okay? It may bite you. Oh, I'm so sorry about your family. I cannot help you with ninja karate, but guess what? You know what? I can give you a job. Come on, help me with this.
Actually, are you sure they didn't accidentally cast this backwards? I can much easier see him waking up on the street covered in blood.
You will now meet my friend, Mr. Lester Green. He took bullet for his wife. He saved his wife.
In answer to your biggest question about how do you make such an unbelievably strange man a convincing character, you just write him as an unbelievably strange character.
The next one is very brutal. We have to do something special for him for funeral, okay? He can be Marlon Brando or Tupac Shakur.
Now, the comedy of The Room came from Tommy trying to convince us he's a normal guy and spectacularly failing. Here, the comedy comes from how weird Tommy is, which is a very easy thing to convey. He plays an undertaker named Harvey who has a passion for fixing dead people's faces. While he doesn't say it well, he does say it convincingly, at least in the strange environment the film's established.
I have to change this. I have to give him beautiful face. Gary Grant or James Dean, that's what he needs. Don't be scared, Ninja Man. I need your help. Pass me the middle one.
Even if I never knew who Tommy Wiseau was, I'd say this was good casting because his delivery is just so strange, but the character is so strange. His foreign accent, you know, the American one, just adds another layer of mystery to what this guy is about. Even though he's clearly not good at communicating, you still buy that he's passionate about communicating. Sestero plays the opposite. He barely talks throughout most of the film. Anyone with sense would tell you giving the majority of dialogue to this guy would not be the wisest move. But Sestero's quiet stares mixed with his own mysterious background constantly has you asking, who are you supposed to be afraid of? They're both odd in their own unique way, not knowing which one you're supposed to be rooting for, which one to be terrified of, perhaps maybe one of each, or neither. And yes, when they're supposed to be funny, they are pretty funny.
I give you face of Jesus, King of Man.
In the name of the Father, Son, and whatever.
I know tomorrow you'll be talking. I know that already.
Harvey decides to give John some money and doesn't even ask him about his blood-stained shirt. Heck, he just gives him a new one.
They're bloody t-shirts. Take this one.
I always have backup in case of blood. It's surprisingly on me often. Ooh, it's a Christmas movie. Actually, don't give them ideas. John sees an ad about gold and thinks back to the gold tooth that Harvey pulled out. After this interesting encounter.
Gold? I heard it's going up. I sold mine!
Well, now we know what happened to Emilio Estevez. So after those words of wisdom, John gets a shave and a haircut and tries using his voice again, which he hasn't utilized, presumably since all the dialogue he had in Patch Adams.
Can I help you? Can you give me a job? And I'm just hopeless at this time.
Again, I feel like this is normal for how most actors practice getting work in LA, even down to being under a bridge. Oh, yeah, because if anyone would be afraid in this scenario, it'd be this guy afraid of this guy.
Where's your beer? What happened to your beer?
Well, in The Disaster Artist, it was a Bryan Cranston thing, but I never read that in the book. John asks for a job, but Harvey seems less than enthusiastic.
No, I can help you.
I don't think so.
I can bring the trash out. I can.
You know what? I give you advice. Go back to school.
Yes, if you go back to school, you can speak better Spanglish. Harvey decides to give him a chance, as even the way he opens the door is kind of a mystery. Even Sestero has a look like...
That was not in the script? How did he do that?
While cleaning, John finds a bunch of gold fillings Harvey collected over the years and steals them. And just as Harvey made him a... gift?
I made it.
Can I have it?
Sure. It's you.
I can't believe it's just an incredible artist.
It's the most touching and terrifying thing I've ever been given, thank you! Harvey talks about how one of his clients died, and since he was Chinese, they should have Chinese food in his honor. Good to know, if Tommy died, I would have something from... the planet Numblar in his honor.
He was very kind, Chinese man. Chinese usually are very selfish, you know?
Well, that was said!
Cheers to Mr. Lee. Cheers, hey.
Cheers. Yeah.
So what do you want to be? What do you want to be, John?
Well, I'll give credit. I thought it'd be quicker than the 25-minute mark before I finally said, what the hell was that? John gives the stolen fillings to a dentist and makes a ton of money. So he returns to Harvey to pick up a basketball to... throw it back and forth.
Tonight?
Yeah.
Here we go. Yeah, how are we gonna get there?
You might be wondering, what's wrong with that? Movies do callbacks all the time, so what's wrong with this one? The problem is the movie is actually doing okay in its different tone that having a callback while they're supposed to be building character is taking us out of the scene rather than sucking us in. Just try to watch this scene and see if you can focus on what they're actually saying.
Do you have a girl or something?
The room! The room! They were in the room! The room! The room! They were in the room!
Harvey decides to go to Vegas that night and take John with him. I have to admit, I didn't think you could get a stranger duo in a convertible near Vegas than these two, but with these guys, anything is possible. And regrettable. They have some fun in the city and find a quiet spot to look at the stars and chill.
I love the book of Mice and Men. Have you read that book?
They had a happy ending, right?
I always saw myself in Lenny and George, these two people just wanting to live off the fat of the land and have a place to call home.
Yeah, the parallels are so thick. Tell me about the chickens, George. Cheep, 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 cheep.
It reminds me of my mom.
Hey, don't worry about it. She's out there, look, in the sky. Hello, hello. You don't want to say hey? Hello, hi, hi, hi.
What I like is even what was so interrupts an emotional line that clearly wasn't planned, it still kind of fits because the character is so odd. And it keeps the scenes lively.
Before she died,
She died? When?
years ago.
Well, you say like recent.
That was years ago, but
Sorry about that.
she'd take me to the observatory.
The observatory? When? This next scene, I honestly don't have words for. Just watch.
You look at the x-ray, look at. He swallowed candle, and the second candle put in his ass. What about that?
What?
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
man.
This entire family is so weird. The clown family?
Clown family? All of them clowns?
Yeah, they're weird like hell.
I don't think there's anything I can say that can make this funnier or sensical, so we'll just let it exist in the universe. John explains to Harvey that he stole the fillings, but he wants to bring him in on it to sell the rest of them. And you know how I said Tommy's weirdness usually works in his favor with this role? There's a reason I use the word usually.
John, you steal from me. You steal from my friend. You sell body part on the black market. Why are you doing this? Why?
Yeah, sometimes it sounds like he just woke up and if he finishes a scene, he can go back to napping. Surprisingly, there is a difference between that and the rest of his acting.
How much?
I don't know until he comes here and looks at it.
Today's not my day.
You better pray something really weird is said to distract us.
When you end up in jail, I will not rescue you, okay? The only thing what I can do, I can send you a few oranges.
That should do it. He agrees to meet up with someone who will give cash for the fillings, and things get pretty funny again because we see Harvey interact with someone other than John. This just makes the interactions all the more humorous when you see the reaction to Wiseau obviously improvising and getting some of the lines wrong.
You never told me, are you lying to me, man? Why
Someplace.
do you do that? Huh?
Very sorry to interrupt.
Oh, no problem.
Again, he's clearly flubbing stuff, but it kinda works for both the character and us. Knowing the actors are trying their best to work with it. Kinda how the characters would probably try their best to work with it.
Yeah, you're a spy. You work for them, right? No, you try to come here to test me, I bet you.
What the fuck are you on?
I am on anything. Nothing. What do you mean on?
Again, it's a different kind of awkward than The Room because no improv was used there. Here, it seems more welcomed and it still stays true to the scene and characters. Hell, I can see his character or Tommy frisking people when they enter his home. That and you know some of these lines were therapeutic for these actors.
Who the fuck is this goblin?
Yeah, Wiseau, that'll teach you to show up 23 hours late. That's almost a day! He seems legit uncomfortable, which I think ties into how more relaxed he is with John, making their friendship all the more interesting. He doesn't really see too many other people. They discover, though, he has a lot of fillings, so they give him a ton of money as down payment for it all. Harvey hides the money in an ATM machine he keeps in his garage. Again, die hard wondering if the real Wiseau has that. As John and his new girlfriend named Tracy sit down and watch Ed Wood movies.
You know, I never thought I would enjoy watching these black and white movies so much. But it's as if the last 10 minutes are all about trusting no one.
If that's what you got out of Glenn or Glenda, I have far more questions for you than you probably have answers. He finally tells her about selling the fillings, but she doesn't like being lied to, so he takes her to meet up with Harvey. That'll put her mind at ease.
You know what? Someday he will support you.
Yeah, I don't need him to support me, okay? I'm very independent, thank you.
This scene might be shot from a distance, but the awkward is in pure close-up.
What's your story?
What is your story, actually?
Where are you from?
Planet Earth.
Okay, that suspension of disbelief I just can't buy. Harvey thinks she's a gold digger, so he refuses to give John any of the money they made. And on top of that, he's apparently putting down a lot of money on something with the actors from the league. But lies to John about it, saying the guy is just applying to be a janitor. Not trusting him anymore, John hatches up a plan with Tracy to make him think he's going to a Rolling Stones concert while she steals the ATM.
We got you tickets to the Rolling Stones.
Oh, that's my favorite.
That's your favorite band? I figure it'd be Alvin and the Chipmunks or something. But Harvey figures out the tickets are fake and he asks John to pull over.
I gotta tell you something, Dad.
Why bother?
Again, this is one of the scenes where Tommy's acting doesn't work, and to his credit, there's amazingly few of them in this movie, and arguably this is the last one. But it is also the funniest one.
I give you everything. Job, friendship, advice. You didn't give me nothing. Ah!
That reaction was so silly it actually sonic boomed the movie. Like the film became conscious and had to laugh at how goofy it was.
You didn't give me nothing. Ah!
Oh, sorry. I'll go back to being a movie.
But Harvey falls off a cliff and John is stuck not knowing what to do. Thus ending part 1. While I certainly didn't expect anything normal from an outing with Greg Sestero and Tommy Wiseau, I do wonder how things can possibly get stranger with less Wiseau in it. Well, it starts off relatively normal, relatively being a relative term, as John and Tracy find the ATM and are unable to open it, so they toss it in their car. But the film quickly ups the question marks as it cuts forward to John being handcuffed on the stairs and...
I have a good story for you, a familiar story.
Wiseau a lot lingers beside him. Hey, I was promised dead Wiseau! Maybe there wasn't a lead up with a light as a feather TV, but I was still promised! It seems to cut back and forth, showing how John got to everybody's worst nightmare of being handcuffed by Tommy. As we cut back to how it all happened, Tracy and John hit the road trying to figure out how they're gonna open the safe with all the money inside. But of course, they're pulled over.
Tags are expired.
What? Really? I'll get it fixed first thing in the morning.
I was just thinking we could take care of it right here in Brainerd.
The cop, like in most traditional thrillers, is a freaking dumbass and doesn't search the car, allowing them to stop at a nearby hotel with an extremely odd person manning it.
This is an exclusive residence. It's a private retreat.
Just one night, a few hours.
Hold on a minute.
Let me check something, and I'll be right back.
Norman Bates wishes he could be this off-putting.
Just make sure you sign the guest book before you leave. Bitches.
What?
Bitches.
I swear you could hear a mic drop after he said that line.
Bitches.
I've only just met this weirdo and I already want to know everything about him. Who he is, how many people he killed, and the hilarious ways he killed them. Part 3 this, damn it!
I made a phone call. Someone's on their way to get us.
But we continue with the story that we're given as Tracy makes a call to her Uncle Rick, who says he's gonna come and help them out. Uncle Rick is kinda where things get amazing.
I get a little workout in, a midnight pump. Get that look out of your eye, John. Not for you.
The actor playing him is named Rick Edwards, and the best way I can describe him is Bizarro Tommy Wiseau. The character was created specifically to mirror several elements of Rick's life. So it's shot at his actual home in the mountains, which is decorated in all the achievements of when he was an athletic rower. In the movie, they also make him a football star. He does midnight pull-ups just because. He starred in a soap opera as well as an Italian fantasy called Hearts and Armor, while also modeling. Acting, sports, and modeling. This is the Dos Equis guy if he was a cowboy.
I once wrestled a gator down in the Manchaw Swamp, and I kicked his ass or his tail or whatever you want to call it.
The reason I call him Bizarro Tommy Wiseau, though, is while Tommy will try new things, usually won't work, and act overly weird, Rick will try new things, have them go tremendously well, and act just the right amount of weird, but still clearly weird.
I hung in there, manned up, I took her down. We had a great time. That was fun. I gotta tell you, and every once in a while, you gotta just go for that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying, John?
And yes, he takes up a lot of the movie.
Hey, there's food in the fridge. I'm not gonna fucking babysit you. Go on, guys, make yourselves at home. I'm gonna sit back, get drunk. Well, drunker.
It's almost as if he hijacks the film. You're not supposed to like him because he's the villain of the movie, but he just dominates every scene he's in. We just listen to him make bad jokes, weird small talk, and laugh at the most random moments.
And I got a cougar stalking me. She lives next door.
I don't know if Chuck Norris memes are still a thing, but they need to be replaced with Rick Edwards memes.
Well, it was your terrible idea to come here. Come on, your uncle, he's not gonna fall for this. And you didn't tell me your uncle is Clint Eastwood.
Makes me embarrassed I've been doing my Owen Wilson voice this whole time. John starts to feel bad about Harvey's death, but what's the point when you're staying in the house of the only guy who could possibly upstage him? Just look at his nightly regiment.
Who is this guy?
I feel like he's gonna turn to a were linebacker. Even when Trippy Dreams of Tommy tries to steal the spotlight back, it's no good. This guy's just so enjoyably kooky.
You drive me crazy, John!
It's like they're having a weird off.
Evil man! Burn in hell!
Rick can't seem to get the ATM safe open, but that doesn't mean they can't look up other options.
You got a computer I can use?
Guest passcode is FU 1986.
FU?
Yep, fuck you.
Okay.
Who are you?
They find a guy in Tombstone who's apparently good at cracking safes. So they send a guy to the place, and hey, I didn't know they could afford Dr. Demento.
Hey, look, it's my ex-wife. She had all the money. I mean, nobody likes a box they can't open any more than I do, all right?
You're like if Gaston didn't die and he lived into retirement.
First things first, I'm gonna have to have a whiskey over ice. Gotta unwind from my walk. I'll open this thing for you, but after I finish my drink.
You know, are they making up for Tommy not being in this by making everyone else curiously odd?
Yeah, we'll get right on it.
No, this is clearly a 3-person job, so let's all pour it together.
Vinny, we got ourselves a golden goose.
So the safecracker gives a call to a shady friend before attempting to rob them himself.
Get over here, against the wall, come on.
Oh, please don't kill us. I can't leave such an embarrassing obituary. Okay, a young guy with tattoos, 5 o'clock shadow, wife beater shirt. I can kind of see how that would come across as pretty intimidating. But teamed up with a badly traced picture of John Williams? that surprisingly sucks out the fear factor quite a bit. They're gonna have to really up the creep value if they want to keep us intimidated. Jesus. Hey, remember when Tommy was improvising earlier? That was pretty silly. Oh God!
I know you're in there, baby.
Well, this is definitely not the room. Room, maybe, but not the room. But somebody breaks in and saves her while also taking out the Mad Magazine parody of Nick Nolte.
Who the hell shot Santa Claus and his elf here?
Hey, I'll make the jokes around here. Oh, who am I kidding? You can make up any jokes you want, you freaking weirdo! So, we're in the last third of part 2 and little action has happened. We're in a totally different place. One of the main characters, arguably the selling point, only makes an appearance once in a while. And I weirdly love it because of that. It is slow, but it's just so puzzling in its attitude that it's really fun not knowing if something is going to be intensely aggressive, intensely silly, or both. As long as this guy is rambling about something uncomfortable, I see it as a win.
Keep your heads down, guys. Tracy, not that far down.
Who are you?
You're like that perverted uncle everybody laughs with, but they still keep their distance from. Rick has that early morning drink of champions while John discovers Harvey's car is in Rick's garage. John demands some answers, and unfortunately, he gets them.
I've never had this much trouble with anybody else.
Oh no.
Finish packing, baby.
That doesn't mean they're a thing! They said they scam people, they lie all the time. Maybe they're lying about being related.
Now I know what you're thinking. Did I fuck her 5 or 6 times?
No, stop! Stop! It's not cool if you might be related!
I was fucking her so hard last night, I thought there was gonna be a headboard homicide.
Ew, God! I mean, I know I'm supposed to hate you, but I want to hate you the same way I hate the people from Game of Thrones, not the people from Game of Thrones! Thankfully, they clarify they're not related, and this was all part of their scam. Oh, good. I can go back to laughing at stuff like this again.
You look like a schoolgirl that's just seen her first pecker.
Who are you?
It looks like John is in a tight spot, though. But thankfully, he has a backup plan.
Ah, for fuck's sake, the Karate Kid.
It didn't say it was a good one. But someone opens fire on them, and this guy is so badass, he actually orders dinner while in the middle of a shootout.
I'll do the steak fajitas. Thanks. Fuck.
So yeah, just remember, if you're an impotent man, just take 2 helpings of watching this guy and you'll be instantly cured. John literally runs for the hills, Rick chases after him, the shooter chases after Rick, and this builds up to the bizarre ending of...
No, Critic, you give everything away.
But I usually talk about the endings in my review, it's a full analysis.
No, but you need to keep surprise. Audience wants surprise.
Well...
I came all the way up here to talk to you, you know? Why you give away ending?
You know what, fine. I think these movies are good enough that they deserve to have some of their surprises unspoiled. All I'm gonna say is, and I know I'm going out on a limb, it gets a little odd. So yeah, I legitimately enjoy both of these films. I'll give fair warning though that they're not just another version of The Room, and they might not be for everyone. If you saw The Room, you might appreciate parts of it more, like Tommy's line delivery and an occasional in-joke. But it is a lot more slower, artsy, and let's just say it, competent. There are still plenty of moments that are laughably strange, but I think they're intentionally that way. It had kind of an otherworldly feel to it that almost makes you feel like you're in another dimension. But one where the focus can suddenly change out of nowhere, leaving you scratching your head as to what can happen next. It's kinda hard to say whether or not I classify it as a comedy. It certainly has funny parts, but it also has moments of heavy atmosphere and intensity that are legitimately effective. I can't say this is a movie for a wide audience, but that's part of what I like about it. It did what it wanted in its own way for its own reasons and gave us something pretty unique. And I can see it definitely growing a following for how oddly passionate and for how passionately odd it is. Both films are a strange experience you won't be forgetting anytime soon.